Hey friends, it's Akideris. So one of the videos that I've been known to make on this channel is my Detective Aki series. This is a series where I went over some of the most infamous and most brutal crimes here in Japan. And one of those episodes, I dived into a very infamous cult called Om Shinrikyo. Now it's very important that you know who this cult is in order to get the context of this video. So if you guys want to go watch that video or just Google them really quickly, then you guys can come back. I'll wait. Now for the rest of you that I know that can't be bothered to do that, I'll just spoon feed you some of the information. All you have to know about this cult is that they are known for a crime that they committed in the late 90s, where cult members went onto one of the busiest trains during rush hour in the morning, carrying bags of what was called sarin gas. Sarin gas is actually known as a weapon of mass destruction. It's a liquid where if you inhale the fumes that it gives off, it can cause extreme spasms and extreme cramps all over your body, including your lungs, which will result in death or major disabilities that you'll carry on throughout your life. And somehow the cult got their hands on this liquid, put it into bags, and brought it onto the train and set it down on the floor. Now, when the train would stop, the doors would open up, and as the cult members would get up to leave the train, each of them had an umbrella with a sharp ending at the end of it, which they would use to stab into the bag, which would then release the fumes. And as the cult members would run away to escape, those that were unfortunate enough to be on this train inhaled the fumes, many of which either resulted in injury or death. Luckily, members of the cult that were involved in this, including the cult member themselves, were arrested, and actually as a couple of years ago, the leader of this cult was officially executed. Now, leading up to that event, Om Shinrikyo was actually garnering a lot of popularity and a lot of money, which meant that they could fund it back into advertising to recruit more people into this cult. They were making commercials, making TV appearances, they were making the news pretty much every week. And during the late 90s, anime and manga started to have a major rise in popularity in Japan. Om Shinrikyo PR got a hold of this and decided, hey, let's start and make an anime. Now in my video, I did go over the anime, but I never went over the manga that they made, and that's because I didn't even know that they made a manga, and it never crossed my mind that they would bother to do this. But literally, this cult did everything to advertise themselves to literally any niche that they could. And this manga was called Choetsujin, which directly translates to transcendental power or transcendental deity, but I think if I had to translate it to English, we'll just call this as supreme deity. This was the name of this manga, and if you go onto my anime list, you're not gonna find it, because I feel like the run of this manga and how niche it was, there was basically near to no recording of this manga being anywhere online. Anyone that knew about this probably found it in the bookstores themselves and are now reselling it for at least $100 and up. The manga is also all in Japanese. It never had an English translation, lucky enough, because the sole purpose of this manga was to recruit people to get into their cult. So after the train incident, anything and everything related to this cult was destroyed or taken off the shelves, including this manga. And I just so happen to have a copy with me today. Now, because the cult was disbanded, there's obviously no way that you can buy this, which even if I could, I wouldn't have, because then that would have just been funding the cult. This is just bought secondhand off of someone, off of one of the Japanese auction sites that I went off of, and I paid about $120 to $140 for this. In a weird way, this almost feels like a collector's item and not in a good way, but I kind of wanted to show you essentially what is one of the most banned manga in Japan. Now, this manga was published a year before the incident, and when you have that knowledge in mind, reading this is unsettling, because the writing in this, it's so obvious that they're trying to recruit you. But of course, during that time, people who didn't know any better, it's scary to think that there is probably some soul out there that picked this up and joined the cult. So we're going to go over this. I'm going to open it for you, and it's all in Japanese, but luckily I had Joey and another friend of mine help translate it, because the way that they talk in here is way beyond the Japanese level that I can. This is Supreme Deity, the manga that you will probably never own and never buy. Now, the first thing I want to go over is this artwork. Especially for the late 90s, this is pretty standard art. This was very common to the style that you would see in other anime and other mangas, so I'm sure that they knew the type of audience to grab, so they definitely knew the assignment and were trying to hire an artist that could replicate some of the most popular anime arts at the time. Now, here's another interesting thing. Here in the lower right-hand corner says Om Mat Studio. Now, I do know that when they were making the anime, they called it Mat Studio, which just stands for Manga Animation Team. It's pretty boring. But this one is literally named after the cult themselves, which kind of just like adds to the creepiness factor of this manga. So they created their own studio because I guess maybe there's no manga studio that would be willing to publish for a cult. And at the top here, it says Part 1. This was a series. I don't have any of the other copies. I think just having Part 1 is honestly good enough. Now, as you guys can see from the cover, this is the leader of the cult. His name is Shoko Asahara, and he is depicted in here being almost Christ-like or almost very like powerful-like. And these characters in the back are going to also be the center of the story within this manga. So now I'm gonna open this for you guys and let you guys see what is up. So I actually put some blue markers here just to censor out an address that's on here because the address is actually legit. It's the address of where the cult facilities were, and I'm pretty sure either the building doesn't exist or it's something else, and I don't want to really put anyone in trouble. But here is the back of the manga. It's advertising for another Om Shinrikyo book, and at the bottom here it's actually telling you to place an order for their newest book, and you can call them at this number or go to this address to inquire pre-ordering. No thank you. I think I'm good. Now let's dive into the story. What the hell is this even about? Essentially what happens is that there is this man that lives with his parents, and he hears about this society called Om Shinrikyo, and he has a calling to it that he feels deep in his heart that he should go and join the society that will bring him in and save him from his sins or give him eternal whatever it is that they believed in at the time. I feel like their beliefs were all over the place. Essentially, all you gotta know about Om Shinrikyo is that this man, Shoko Asahara, is said to give you things like happiness, cure diseases, fix all of the troubles in your life. And so basically the main character of this is called to join Shoko Asahara. Okay, so what happens? He wants to join the cult. Well, the parents do not approve, and they force their son to not only not join this cult, but to also never leave the house. So now what happens next is that we find Shoko Asahara meditating in what I assume is his own private room, his own private sanctuary, and suddenly his spider senses start tingling, and he senses that there is a man out there that is passionate enough to want to join Om Shinrikyo. So he tells his followers saying, we need to save this man, and the followers start to doubt him and say, no, I don't think that we should bother him at all, and maybe it's just you. And he says, no, we have to save him, we have to get him out of there. And then the story gets really weird, where Shoko Asahara apparently says, I have a feeling that the parents are drugging their kid, which is preventing him from opening his mind and wanting for him to leave his home and going out and actually finding himself by going to Shoko Asahara. So he tells his disciples this, and so the disciples go out to look for the man, and they actually find the parents, and they can confirm that, yeah, the parents were actually drugging their kid. And so after this, Shoko Asahara, see, now we have to save him. So they go on this journey to save the boy from his own family, who was already bad-mouthing Om Shinrikyo and trying to brainwash their child into making him think that Om Shinrikyo is bad. But it turns out that the parents are the ones that are bad. And yeah, it's really ironic that this cult manga is trying to tell the reader that if your parents are telling you that this cult is bad, it's your parents that are bad. So you should join us to retaliate against, I don't know. So basically the boy agrees to this and finally joins Om Shinrikyo, leaves his evil parents behind, and now he's saved thanks to the mysterious divine power of Shoko Asahara. This manga, I think that it's just really badly written. It's very obvious that at this time, Om Shinrikyo was getting a lot of crap from other sources that were smart enough to see right through them, that were calling them bullshit. This was also a way for the cult to kind of like defend themselves in a weird way, because there were lawyers and there were other TV programs or news articles that were coming out saying Om Shinrikyo is kind of questionable and maybe you shouldn't join, so that didn't make them happy, so they created a manga to kind of say, no, we're not the bad ones. Anyone who badmouths us are the bad ones. They have evil spirits that are just trying to prevent your soul from being free and from opening your mind, and basically it's just all bullshit. And it's kind of scary because you go to the back of this book, right, and it gives you a list of addresses and phone numbers, which I'm gonna have to censor them, all over Japan. And actually there's even 2 addresses, one from New York and one from Germany. That's kind of scary to think that this list of addresses kind of tells you how many studios and how many facilities they had. Let me actually count them right now. There's at least 19 addresses on here. That means that they had at least 19 facilities across not only Japan, but in other parts of the world. That's kind of scary. That shows how much power and money that they had. Also, you know what's really weird is that the art suddenly changes to be super cutesy. One of the most terrible human beings in Japanese history is now like super chibi and fun and cute. And yeah, this whole manga, it's just propaganda and brainwashing. So now on the inside of the back cover, there's actually an advertisement for another one of Shoko Asahara's books, and this book claims to cure all diseases. That's in verbatim. This line right here essentially says that not even AIDS is scary. And that's a really big claim, especially during that time where the fear of AIDS was probably at its peak. I guess they tried to use that also as a way to leverage their advertisement. They really just took anything and everything that was being talked about at the time to just further their popularity. And it says here that it has supernatural powers and a secret curriculum that will help you live a more healthier and fulfilling life. And I love it down here at the bottom. These are all claims made by people who had diseases cured from reading this book, supposedly. And it's funny because these so-called claims are not even really what I would consider diseases. They're just really inconvenient conditions that I feel could be very easily treated anyway, just by going to a doctor or just waiting it out. So I'll give you a few examples here. Actually, I'll just give you all of them. The first one here claims that their daughter's atopic dermatitis was cured in months. Atopic dermatitis, I'm pretty sure, is just a pretty severe skin condition. Either you can like wait it out or get like the right treatment for it. It's nothing that should be that detrimental to your life. It's inconvenient, and also a lot of kids I've heard that get atopic dermatitis. So that it's not like it's cancer or anything, which is interesting because I'll just spoil it for you now. None of these claims will have anything like AIDS or cancer or any disease that is known to be uncurable, especially at the time. The second one says that they had athlete's foot. Come on, man. Really? Really? The same person also claimed that they had a ringworm, and even when they went to the doctors couldn't save him or figure it out. So eventually, after reading this book, the ringworm and athlete's foot that he had just went away. I'm pretty sure that he probably took some kind of creams or it went away on its own. Again, not really what I would constitute as a disease. This next one, it says that they claimed to lose 9 kilograms and they stopped smoking. This is ridiculous. And then another one here at the bottom says that they also stopped drinking and smoking. So not exactly what I would constitute as like, they can be life-threatening. These claims are really just the cult trying to reach and being like, see, these people claim that all these things happen. If you had a different list here that was things like I was blind and then I could see, or my AIDS and cancer got cured or whatever, I would have been like, wow, okay, let me look at this book. But athlete's foot? Come on. Now, there's one more part about this manga I want to go over, and it's this on the back. This is probably the most unsettling bit, but before I get into that, I want to address some possible comments that I'm going to get on this video. So I know that there's a lot of people that will probably be really concerned of the fact that I'm even speaking so openly about this cult in a negative light, because technically the members are still out there. And especially since there was a YouTuber who claimed that after making a video on Om Shinrikyo actually received a message, or claimed to receive a message, by one of the members of Om Shinrikyo, and this message, all they said was, I will kill you. And I'm pretty sure that YouTuber is still alive today, but let's assume that that message really did come from a cult member. Here's the thing, there is almost no one in Japan, at least I would say anyone over the age of maybe 15, that don't know about the attack and this cult. To put in perspective of how famous this incident and the cult is, every year in Tokyo, there is a memorial service that is held where it's meant to remember all of those that were affected or killed in the attack. And during this memorial, there is a lot of Japanese people who outspokenly talk shit about Aum Shinrikyo on the streets, and they carry signs with them that say the English equivalent of "We will never forget," "Death to Aum Shinrikyo," "May the government prosecute each and every member to this day." And Aum Shinrikyo, I think, have a lot on their plate to be worried about rather than me, an English-speaking YouTuber who they probably can't even understand, and who is not the first nor the last YouTuber to make content on them. But let's just assume that they can understand English. Okay, should I still be worried? Well, here's the thing. I'm simply just talking about Aum Shinrikyo, but there are Japanese content creators, and I'm not going to say the name of them, but there is one in specific who is very infamously known for creating content of literally going to the houses and the properties of past followers of Aum Shinrikyo and harassing them. And he films their faces while they are in their house. So I'm just thinking here, like, if there is a hit list, that guy is definitely at the top or near the top. Also, all members of Aum Shinrikyo or past members are watched like a hawk by the Japanese government. It's to a point that even after the cult has been disbanded, followers started creating their own societies, and these societies are very much well known amongst Japanese people. And the Japanese government has actually made videos of raiding a lot of their hideouts and a lot of their offices for all of the cult members that actually gather around. And not only that, they actually put them on television. I think Japanese people are pretty much on it in terms of harassing this cult more than me, actually. I think realistically, this cult probably has no idea I even exist. And even if they do, I'm gonna guess that most of them don't even care what I'm saying or can't even understand a word that I'm saying. So that's why I'm so calm about this. But of course, it's not a 0% chance. But let's just say if anything does happen to me after this video, you guys will know why. Let's continue. Okay, so now let's just finish this off by talking about the cover or the back cover of this book. The reason why I think this is the most unsettling one is that this is another advertisement for a third book. I just want to remind you, this manga has now advertised its third book on the back of the cover, and I'm going to show you guys what this says. So this starts off with this sentence that says, "You hold the true power." And then it goes on to say this: "The mysterious power that resides in all people is called training. The power of Master Shoko Asahara is now revealed. Despite religious oppression in Aum, why is it that people continue to seek out Master Asahara and the society of Aum Shinrikyo? You can find the answer in this book. You can change the ways of your heart and choose God's way. You too shall be blessed with mystical powers and peace of mind, just like the disciples of our master. This is a life-changing book." I feel like that is straight up just trying to brainwash you, and I really don't know how anyone at the time could believe such a claim as powerful as this. Not powerful, that's not the right word. A claim as ridiculous as this. The one passage in here that really got me was the part where they said, "Despite religious oppression on Aum, why is it that people continue to seek out Master Asahara and the society of Aum Shinrikyo?" To me, I feel like that is such a roundabout way to be like, so despite all these haters, why is it that there's so many people that still support us? So if there's so many people that still support us, you should too. That, I feel like they just said it in a really fancier way. But it's obvious at this point that they were getting a lot of criticism and there were more people trying to expose them and they were not handling it well. So they used this manga and even more books to try and advertise the fact that we're not the bad guys. It's everyone else that's against us is the bad guys. Any power that this manga held is now obsolete. So that's also why I don't give a shit what they have to say. And I will outspokenly say that I don't give a shit what they have to say. You cannot live your life in fear, and if you know that bad people are doing bad things, then god damn it, put them on blast. But I mean, pretty much anyone and everyone that was involved with Aum Shinrikyo is either dead or in hiding and isolated from society, so I think we're good. But that doesn't mean that there are other cults out there, so all I have to say is think for yourself and do not let emotions blur your sense of judgment. People will do what is called love bombing, which is showering you with love when you are at your weakest point and making you feel belonged, and they are very good at doing this too. So I think what really is the secret to healing comes from inside of you. Any sufferings or struggles that you're going with is an uphill battle for each and every human being, and it does not come from people that are just trying to manipulate you and use you for their own personal gain. So wow, this video went in a much deeper thing than I thought. Oh, there is one more thing I wanted to show really quickly. Along with this manga, I did buy this. This is a CD that was also supposedly made by the cult. It's called The Sound of Mine. To be honest, I'm also kind of questioning if this is even real, because this looks like a bootleg CD if I've ever seen it. Like, it's just this really flimsy piece of paper, and also this really badly printed CD. Like, this looks like something that I saw like at Green Hills in the Philippines. If you don't know what that is, it's basically a mall filled with bootleg stuff. I remember I used to get like DVDs from there as a kid thinking that were real, and now I look back and it's just like really stretched out JPEGs. But I don't know, this could be a legitimate CD, so I kind of want to just listen to this for a little bit, and I think that's where I'll end the video. But let's see what this is about. All right, let's listen to this. This is apparently the meditation music that was used by Om Shinrikyo. This is the song called Kanro. Let's go to the next song. Beyond the Light is the next one. On to the next one. Oh my god. Progress. Okay, Lord Siva is the next one. Okay, let's just go to the last track. It's called Travel to the Astral World. It's almost like, I guess it's just because, like, you know it's coming from a cult, that it just sounds really creepy now. I could not meditate through this. I don't know how anyone did. Okay, I'm done. Thanks guys for watching. See you guys in the next video, if I'm still alive. Bye.